if you are in a sexless relationship and you really don't know what to do in order to change it, this is going to be a very good video for you. I am reacting to a subreddit called Dead Bedrooms, and this guy has written a post seeking for advice, and he says is titled "I don't know what to do." So we're going to be diving deeper into some of the reasons why he's in this situation, and then maybe some of the solutions that he can take in order to start changing things. And hopefully that's enough information for you to actually get an idea of how you can change your relationship as well. So without further ado, it's the post goes on to say, I don't know what to do. I've been with my girlfriend for 3 years now, and 3 years now, 24M, so he's 24 years old, and she's 23. Wow, it's very, very young. Sex started off great as any relationship, but nowadays it's pretty much non-existent. You've got to bear with me with my reading. I'm dyslexic, so I find it quite challenging to read. So I think it's usually most people go through this cycle. There's certain videos I've made around why this happens. So how does the honeymoon period fall, and then how does it that sex declines? I'm not going to go into it on this video, but I'm going to make a separate video on this topic. And if that's something that you want to see, write in the comments and say yes, do a video on sexual decline. So going forward, whenever I try to initiate anything, it never happens, and everything is always seems to be on the terms. We've only had sexual intercourse once this year, so you can see that there's a massive problem. So today we're now in April, so that's almost, we've done a quarter of a year. So in this rate, there's a potential that they might only have sex 4 times this year, which is way below what's required. In fact, I think it's, in order to be considered sexless, you have to have sex less than 10 times a year. I think that's what is considered to be sexless relationship. So in this case, they are within a very difficult situation, especially when you consider that these two as a couple, there is no other. If this guy went on to have sex with another woman within this relationship, she'll be devastated. Because my point being that sex is obviously important to her, but it's something that she's not finding it important to have with the partner. So it's a very weird dynamic to have, especially when, my point being that if she's not having sex for over 3 months or over a period of 3 months, and to her it seems unimportant. If he went on to cheat and then she found it disrespectful and so on, and she was hurt, then you can see that. So there is importance to the relationship. It's just now really trying to get it to a point where you both see it as such. So, and again, it's just one of those things where you don't know what you have till it's gone. So she's probably taking this relationship for granted, especially the sexual side of things. So let's go a little bit to her about the situation on multiple occasions, but she doesn't like to talk about it as she cringes out. Now, this is one of the things that I think most people make a mistake on when it comes to changing a sexless relationship. It's something that you cannot talk your way back into. When she fell in love with you and she felt sexual desire towards you, it was based off of the behaviors that you were giving to her. So when you started dating, she was looking at things like, are you conducting yourself in a way that is of a leader? Then she said yes. Are you conducting yourself in a way that you show ambition? Are you passionate? Are you clean? Are you well dressed? Are you articulate? Can you be relaxed in very difficult situations? So there were certain situations that she was looking at and making her decision just as much as you were making decisions as you were looking at it within the relationship. A large majority for men, as we make decisions, is, can we connect sexually? And usually a large chunk of our decision making happens on that. So what's the frequency of sex, and are we connecting as we're having sex? And when women answer that part, a large part of our devotion comes from that okay, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my time with. So that's why it becomes an absolute very difficult situation when the sex declines within the relationship. So it's very, very crazy that when it comes to now, when you find yourself in this situation and start trying to talk about it, it comes across as though, it's something that you shouldn't be doing. So, and again, there's certain videos that I'll be making around that on how you actually do talk about it. The reason why I say people shouldn't talk about it is that you lack the skill, and also you don't understand the root cause of the problem. Because once you understand the root cause of the problem, the way you interact about it changes. And in this case, you'll see why I say you don't talk about it is because he goes on to say, I'm only a small guy, both girth and length. Now, so you can see that there is some hang-ups when it comes to this guy. He says, I'm only a small guy, both girth and length. So meaning that he is quite small. Now, I've trained a lot of guys around this area, and a lot of, in fact, guys with what you would consider a micro penis. And they're very successful within their relationships, even though their partners have said they want somebody with bigger. And a large part about you having sex and is your self-confidence. If you lack self-confidence approaching into a sexual encounter, she will pick up on that, and that will lead your interaction. And you can see that as we dive in deeper, you'll see that this is a common theme within this relationship, that is all about he's negative, he's focused on that, and that's affecting what's happening when it comes to their sexual interactions. So I'm more inclined to start thinking that she's down to have sex, but his approach is quite horrible. So it's making negative associations with the actual sex. So whenever the sex comes up, because it comes with such negativity, she doesn't want to be part of that. So, and I'm just based off the fact that he said that, for me, it tells me everything that I need to know. I would spend a lot of time getting this guy to be really comfortable with his penis size. I want him to approach with this case, he said, I'm about 4 inches in length. So I want him to approach this relationship with his 4 inches and feel like he's a mandingo. But mandingo is one of these guys with the massive, anyways, I'm not going to go there. But yeah, he needs to approach that relationship with real confidence and really feeling good about himself. I had one guy who was a friend of mine, very short, very small in stature, but did very well with women because he just felt like he was $1,000,000 every time he walked, everywhere, everything he did. He just felt really good about himself, and that approach within those interactions made the interactions amazing for both of him and the people that he was around. So he goes on to say about 4 inches in length, and she always says that I'm small down there. So again, usually when people say this, I don't think I'm going to give her a benefit of doubt in this case. I'm giving it a benefit of a doubt. I'm thinking this guy has always had this as a problem for him, and then he's suggested to it. So he's asked her, do you think I'm too small? And then she's probably said yes. And I think this is what's happened. Now, I want him to see this and correct me and say, no, I was trying to put it in, and she said, oh my God, you're too small. And then that's a different dynamic, and that's a different thing that we'll be talking about. But in this case, I'm going to assume he's already had issues with his size way before he got into the relationship. And I think I would like to know what it was like in previous relationships, if he had another relationship. And again, I would also want to know if this is his first relationship, because if it is, then he's got no reference to say that I know a lot of women that prefer guys with this size. In fact, I think a good 70% of women would prefer a guy who's probably 5 inch in length. They'll be able to take 4 inch because generally, for most people with anything more than 8 inches, hitting 10 inches, a sex session over 15 minutes is extremely painful for the woman afterwards. So it's very rare that you meet women that can take more than that and then be again, I'll rest that one. So it's all about him and how he's seeing himself in this scenario. So I'm going to summarize some of this other bit because he goes on to say that he ended up getting a sleeve. Once he got the sleeve, he put it on. She enjoyed it. He found it very degrading, and so on. So you can see that he's got this real internal conflict where he needs to really reconcile what he's got. I remember I was saying this story a few days ago to somebody, and I said when I went to school, I went to private school, and I remember the private school, I was pretty much one of the few guys that was black at the time. And I remember one of my white friends going, "You got a very big nose." Now, he wasn't being racist. He was just a very good friend of mine. I didn't see it as racist. It was just an observation that he saw because he was used to seeing people with smaller nostrils and stuff. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror and I was thinking, oh shit, yeah, I do have a big nose. And I got over it pretty quickly. Now, if you see that with most people in other cultures, so if you see people in America, what's that lady? Is it Kylie Jenner or somebody said something about her lips, and she got obsessed by trying to change her lips, and she just couldn't accept who she was. I think she was pretty. I think she is pretty without anything to doing whatever with her lips. But my point being is that if you're not accepting of who you are, it can affect how you interact with people. And in this case, his penis size is affecting how he approaches that sexual interaction, and it will continuously bother him to the point where he's never going to be successful in a relationship. Even if he messes this one up, until he changes this, he's never going to be very successful within a relationship. So it's very important that he really reconciles with what he's got and just say, you know what, my 4-inch is the best thing that's ever been given to women. Now, I know most women might disagree, and again, everybody's experience is different, but from my experience personally, I know that many women prefer guys that are a bit smaller. And some girls, again, if she wants a little bit of kink play, you can introduce toys so she can have that feeling, you can foster that feeling, but there has to be a real interaction. Now, from her side of things, I think because he feels this way, it doesn't give her room to actually grow where she can make him feel good, because he's not able to see it now. So there's probably things that she's doing or where she's open to do something to make him feel good about himself, but because he's so concerned about himself, there's no he probably doesn't recognize it. He's really all about his feelings, so it's really causing this real negative association within the relationship, which then makes it very difficult for any sexual interaction to happen. So it's a very horrible situation. I think he wanted to put some context that she never gives me oral, gives me the odd hand job here and again, but I would literally do anything. So again, this is another clue when he says he'll literally do anything she asked me to do. Now, I'm all about really being able to give your partner the best and be available for a partner. But again, there's what we call over-subscribing. So if you over-subscribe yourself to your partner, that is going to have a detrimental effect. And I can see that the way he sees himself as lacking, he tries to overcompensate it by being too much. So it's a very odd dynamic. Now, I know it's a bit different from what you guys have experienced, where everybody blames the wife or partner and say this is the reason why we're sexless, so therefore this is it's her fault because it's her libido. And it's such a cheap shot to just say, oh, your libido is gone. Now this girl, she's what, 23, she's got a high amount of testosterone, so she's got really good amount that she will spontaneously want to have sex. Now, I'm not saying that she doesn't have issues. We all have issues, and I think the main issues are coming from this guy and the way he views himself within a sexless relationship, or at least in this relationship. He really needs to be okay with who he is. More importantly, in this day and age, most guys are not comfortable being guys, just not comfortable being themselves. And it's very important that most guys actually start thinking like, yeah, I'm grateful to be a guy, and I'm grateful to have my 4 inches. I'm grateful to, just own what you got. Like the quicker you can own what you got is the better you are at interacting sexually. Like I said, I have my flaws, many of them, many flaws. But one of the things that I can convey correctly is the love of myself, and how important that is in terms of not a, one of the things I can convey very well is that my sexual desire and being confident in who I am and being happy with what I've got, generally that helps my relationship in how we interact sexually. So it's a very important distinction to how you approach this. The way you approach this, it has to be. In fact, I'm not speaking specific to this guy. The way you approach this definitely now has to come to terms. You have to come to terms with who you are, and this is one of the issues that I'll be dealing with specifically before I start dealing with the actual sex. And a lot of people, when they deal with the sexless marriages or relationships, they think it's about the sex, but really there's something else that's going on. So, like fixing your sex, or I think it's the lack of communication. You are communicating, but you just, whether you're saying something or not saying anything, it's still communication. So it becomes that it's more important in his specific situation that he comes to terms with who he is. A lot of the things that he's saying, he sees himself as a victim, and again, if you see yourself as a victim, getting into sexual interaction never works. It's a horrible place to convey anything sexually. You can convert a negative association to seduction. It's very, very difficult, but you can use negative emotions to transition into seduction. Now, what I want to mean by that is, if you were having a fight, for example, you can have a fight, but then you can make up later on. But just that emotional investment from both of you when you're trying to establish boundaries or whatever, that is can be something that is really beautiful in terms of transitioning to something sexual attraction. So I'm going to knock it on the head here. Please click subscribe so you can get more videos like this. I'm going to be making more reactions to dead bedroom, people seeking advice on dead bedrooms, and hopefully the person that wrote this can guess to see this on YouTube and guess to answer. And if it's you, I would like you to follow the links and then join us so I can give you some help around this. So thank you very much. See you soon. Take care.